Lunatics? How dare you, Herbie? Appreciate you stopping by for the very best in discussion, debate, and analysis right here at the Voice of College Football. Please comment down below and like the video. It's become quite a contentious relationship between Kirk Herbstreit and the Ohio State fan base. Kirk Herbstreit, of course, one of the beloved. If you don't know, way back when, he was John Cooper's first recruit and signee and bled scarlet and gray. I mean, if you look at his background, growing up, always wanted to be a Buckeye, became a Buckeye. Tear-filled eyes after a tie against Michigan, 13-13 in 1992. He bled scarlet and gray like few others. All right, fast forward 30 years, and Kirk Herbstreit, of course, is the #1 color analyst for ABC and ESPN and has been for quite some time. And personally, I think he's one of the best in the business. The best in the business, not necessarily, but one of the best. Does a great job as a color analyst on the games. I don't hear the podcasts. I don't hear the comments that he makes as an analyst these days. I grew tired of that a long time ago, so I don't necessarily hear what he typically says off the air on various podcasts on the internet and other ESPN shows. But at the conclusion of Ohio State's rout of Tennessee in the first round of the CFP, Herbstreit said this about Ohio State fans. This text is taken from the Columbus Dispatch, but we all heard it at the conclusion of the Ohio State-Tennessee game over the air. Quote, "I can't speak on behalf of the lunatic fringe. I'm not sure how they operate," end quote. The lunatic fringe at Ohio State is as powerful as anywhere in the country. I'm sure they'll be happy tonight. Be fired up about what the Ohio State team did, but God forbid they lose to Oregon. They want to fire him again. Speaking, of course, of head coach Ryan Day. Herbstreit then kept going and addressed ESPN's own show, First Take. Now, this rarely, if ever, happens, and certainly let me know in the comments section of another incident in which an ESPN personality took a shot at another show on the network. Whoa, this is groundbreaking stuff. This is actually refreshing to see whether you agree with it or not. Going against the establishment, against Disney. Wow. So he said this about First Take. Quote, "First Take tried to fire him. They thought he was done. So I'll be excited to see what they talk about on Monday after this performance. They had him out trying to find replacements, but here he is, still got his hat on, still coaching." Now, when it comes to First Take, I don't watch the show, have not watched the show in years, basically back to the Skip Bayless days. But I do see clips from time to time that are reposted on YouTube as reels and shorts, which is a good thing for us media types these days and fans. You can just watch without watching the entire show and being bored to death. You can catch 30 seconds here and 50 seconds there. And so I don't watch the show. However, I have seen enough of these personalities, whether it be on First Take or elsewhere, to know that they're generally, although they do have impressive resumes, impressive careers established, they currently are caricatures. They are loudmouth buffoons, generally. Do they ever give honest, authentic takes that are insightful? Absolutely, they do. No question about that at times. But generally, it's a clickbait show. That's why it was created. And I guess it's filled its niche because it's been on forever at this point. But the likes of Mad Dog Russo and Stephen A. Smith and others, they're just loudmouth buffoons that just don't know anything about college football and just talk. And it's popular in this social media environment when a coach like Ryan Day is on the hot seat. On the hot seat, according to the fans or certain fans or portions of the fan base, not according necessarily to the administration, the people that count, as Herbstreit pointed out, and I have many times. Those aren't the people that count, obviously. They are not going to make the decision on Ryan Day. But Ryan Day is on the hot seat publicly, yes, after losing to Michigan for a fourth straight time. So what's popular and what's going to gain clicks is to talk about Ryan Day being fired, not meeting expectations, and then, of course, trying to find his replacements because people will click on that. It's a money-driven industry just like all others. Okay, we had to go to Athlons to find this comment because I wanted to find Herbstreit's further clarification of what he meant by the lunatic fringe when questioned by Chris Fowler. Quote, "It used to be 8 to 10. I think it's grown now to about 15 to 20, Herbstreit said of the, quote, lunatic fringe. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll be happy tonight and again about what Ohio State did, but God forbid they lose to Oregon. They'll want to fire him again." I hope Ohio State fans are not taking offense to this. If you're an Ohio State fan and take offense to this, you are either a lunatic or you are understanding that there is a lunatic fringe to, get this, every fan base. We like to think of certain fan bases, typically our rival fan base, as being delusional, lunatics, irrational. No, those people exist in every fan base. Do they exist to greater proportions in certain fan bases? Well, obviously, that's a statistical anomaly. So, of course, that would be the case. And you would think that the program with the best winning percentage of all time, which is arguably the greatest football program in the country today and all time, would have more lunatics because they expect more. So that would be the case at places like Alabama, currently Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas all-time, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, etc. You would expect that to be the case. So that is the case at Ohio State, I would think. I don't have the statistics on it. I don't think there's any polling out there that is taking account of, are you a fan of Ohio State? Are you a lunatic fan? Now, when Kirk Herbstreit says 8 to 10, and now it's probably 10 to 15, I don't know that he's talking about percent. Maybe he's talking about the percentage of fans, or maybe he's talking about pundits that deal in Ohio State football on a regular basis. So that was the clarification I would have liked to have heard. If he's talking about a percentage of the fan base, hey, he's taking a guess. I would be taking a guess. We, of course, receive a lot of feedback on Ohio State football and all of college football here at the Voice of College Football. So I could take a shot at, yes, compartmentalized fan bases. You have your Pollyanna homers that think everything's great even after you go 3-9, and everybody's great. The coach is great. Let's not criticize anyone. Let's work toward the future. Then you have on the other end of the spectrum the people that are not satisfied by anything, and we have seen this most recently at the Ohio State fan base by fans saying that even if we win the national championship, fire Ryan Day. That's, of course, ludicrous and pathetic out of those people. They probably have not held down a job where there's been any kind of standard. Then you've got rational people in the middle and all sorts of variations, of course. But I generally think that Ryan Day will be the head coach at Ohio State in 2025. That may have happened even if he would have lost this game against Tennessee. We will never know. Ohio State will play Oregon. Moving on. I don't understand what the controversy is concerning Kirk Herbstreit's comments. He is pointing out that there's a fringe of the Ohio State fan base, like others, but it might be more at Ohio State. He said, as much as anywhere in the country. I read between the lines to think he meant more than anywhere in the country, but his actual words were, as much as anywhere in the country, lunatic fans at Ohio State. That is absolutely an accurate statement. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Leave those comments and questions down below. Kirk Herbstreit, Ohio State. This contentious relationship has been something else. He was once one of the beloved there at Ohio State, and this might be one of the reasons. Well, actually, it is one of the reasons why he moved from Columbus to Nashville years ago. He is trying to separate himself from the Ohio State fan base. He's a proud Buckeye to a certain extent, but as the years go by, he has distanced himself, unlike others, Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard in particular, to be a professional and to do his very best to deliver an unbiased look at Ohio State and the rest of college football. As we do here at the Voice of College Football, appreciate you stopping by, and we will see you next time.